Hey everybody, welcome back to the For Your Period podcast. You never know exactly what we're going to be talking about, but you know it will be cycle related. It could be about working out with your period, loving your period, or relationships with your period. So hang out with us, learn something new, and have a great day. We're so excited to have you here. Hey, welcome back to the For Your Period podcast and happy Pride. Whoop, whoop, happy Pride Month. If you're not watching this because you're not on YouTube or something, Anna and I are wearing black tank tops because apparently it's Black Tank Top Day. So I hope you're wearing a black tank top. I hope you're feeling fabulous as we move into summer, and I hope you're celebrating Pride. So we are going to dive into a really juicy conversation today that's really complicated. It's complicated because it's nuanced. It's complicated because it has had a lot of interpretations in our world. But today we're really going to talk about hormonal programming and talk about what bodies need that is different depending on what kind of equipment you have. So if you've got the hormonal programming of having testicles, there is one way that your body works really well. And if you have the hormonal programming of having ovaries, there's a way that your hormones work really well and a different kind of programming. And we know that there's a wide range of human variety and variation, but overall, there are two general categories that most people fall into, and this means a lot of things for how they should show up in their human body. Anna, why is that so complicated to talk about? Let's dive
Um,
in.
it's there, like you said, there's just so many layers to it. And I like how you said that at the beginning. It's whatever equipment that you have is how you should move about the cabin, so to speak. Like it's based on your equipment. That's the only thing that we're talking about here. And it's so difficult because it's so nuanced. And growing up as a woman in the United States under the patriarchy, a cis woman in the United States, I have been taught to subjugate my needs and my feelings, and that there's a certain way that things should be done, especially physical things, and it's the masculine way. Like, do it this
Yeah.
way, this is what works. And that has led to injury, um, uh, deep emotional feelings. It's led to weight gain, weight loss. I mean, it's been a
Yeah.
horrible outcome by trying to follow that flow.
Yeah. I think it's like especially complicated as people who are very openly progressive, very openly progressive, because there is a narrative from particularly some maybe evangelical Christianity or kind of the Bible will talk about like there's a way that things should be done between men and women. There's a way, a natural way, an order of the way that things are. And that's kind of true. There's like a part in there that is true. And there's a lot of there in there that's bullshit. And we kind of, I want to tease those pieces out because part of that, I think, is what actually stops modern women from working with their menstrual cycle. Is there's a lot that goes around in the OBGYN community. Like, it doesn't matter if you have a period, shut off your hormones. It doesn't matter if you do this. More and more people schedule cesarean sections because they just want to have an elective C-section, so it's not as much work on their body, right? So like there's a lot of these kind of conflicting things where like I don't want to lean into this narrative that there's a way because when people say that, they typically mean it as a way to continue to further subjugate women because their programming is inefficient or less cool than men's. And that's not what we're saying at all. Everyone deserves equity. Everyone deserves the thing that they need.
Yes.
But if we're not being honest right now, like we've caught ourselves in this tangled web where we can't actually be honest about what we need because that makes us a bad feminist or that makes us a bad modern woman. And like how the fuck do we unpack from all of that?
Oh my gosh, I absolutely love this because I've probably said this every episode that my husband made this workout plan for me and I'm doing it. And the past week I've had this crazy ache in my elbow. Like it's hurting. It hurts. It hurts when I'm not
Mhm.
lifting. I've done some type of damage. But my old programming is saying okay, nothing's broken or bleeding, just keep working out. And I tell my husband this, he's like, oh, you know that sleeve I wear when I work out? You just need to get one of those sleeves. Like it's kind of like a bra for your elbow. It like holds it up to help you lift. And my first thought was, I'm not in good enough shape to be walking around with a sleeve on, like I'm some big, workout person that like I don't know why in my mind I don't qualify to need something to help me. And
Yeah.
he just went straight on Amazon, got the sleeve. It came the next day and I put it on and I got like 4 more reps in for every set just with that thing on. And he's like, just
Just
wear
a
it.
little help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where the equity comes in. It's not, it's like I needed this tiny little thing to help me perform the way I needed to perform. And I was denying myself this support because I should be able to do without it. And we as women, we do that. Like, we're like, if he can do it, I can do it
Mm.
too. This shouldn't be this hard for me. I should be able to get up at 4 a.m. every morning and work out. I should, because I'm
Mm.
seeing my male counterparts doing this. And if I show up differently, I'm going to look weak. I'm going to look like I'm inexperienced, like I don't know what I'm doing. And that is bullshit.
Total bullshit. And when like we don't want, like heard so many super duper 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 liberal women be like, I have to take birth control because I'm in control of my fertility and I'm not going to let any other man dictate what I'm doing. Babe,
Right.
by saying that, you are actually letting a lot of men dictate because guess what? You can understand your fertility without birth control. And by shutting down your hormones and by making yourself flat and by taking that out of the equation and offloading that labor to the medical system, you are letting a man decide about what's going on with your body because they made birth control.
Yeah.
And so it's so complicated because this it seems like sometimes the thing that we're saying and we're advocating for sounds like that some of those alt-right talking points of like be slow on your period and listen to your follicular phase and eat with the phases. But they don't get to fucking claim that. This is living this way is not from the alt-right. This was actually way, 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 way before them. This is so much earlier. This is how humans evolved to be on the planet. This is how our ancestors evolved to be on the planet. Over hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, our bodies decided having a menstrual cycle, and this was like amoeba all the way through human, right? However long that took. They
Yeah.
decided that the best way to do this was by having a menstrual cycle.
And once our, ancestors figured out our cyclical nature, they knew when to not get pregnant or when to get pregnant. It wasn't some surprise every time that they had a baby growing within them. They knew and they were intentional. And I have had those moments where, you and I are very vocal about birth control and how we feel about it. And I've had those moments like, am I being a bad feminist? Like every feminist I know has said birth control is the best thing that's ever happened to women and blah blah blah. It's been kind of a mind fuck to sit in, but exactly what you said. We are smart enough to figure out our bodies. We are. The, we are smart enough
And
to, yeah,
the fact that we can get pregnant 5 to 6 days out of the month and men can impregnate people every single day shows you the line of where patriarchy is. Why are we trying to control the reproductive function and functionality and health and safety of people who can only get pregnant a handful of days a year compared to the people who can impregnate somebody always? Like, let's really run that, like,
ever.
this is going to cause you cognitive dissonance likely listening to this episode. I probably should have warned that at the top. But like really think about what are we agreeing to when we keep offloading this? Because we know now, even if they don't want to study it anecdotally, women getting blood clots, women getting cancer from birth control, women, I just learned this. So people who are neurodivergent can have, and I might have talked about it on last week, but like it's within the last month, they can almost have a allergic reaction esque to progesterone.
Mm.
So that instead of it feeling calming on your body, it makes you feel more agitated. I was on every birth control I was on was pumping me with a steady level of progesterone all of the time.
Mm.
Where even with my natural cycle, I'm not getting that high of a hit of progesterone every day. I'm getting it in the half of my like the second half of my cycle. So taking an antihistamine, I've been doing like the acid reflux. I've been working on anti-inflammatory foods, right? I've been doing those steps. But like I was literally intoxicating my body all of the time because I was also never diagnosed with being neurodivergent and having this reaction to progesterone. Like it made me so, I was more like high level anxious all the time on birth control.
And I'm sure that pissed you off, but then also was like, oh, it's like
Yes.
I get the missing piece, but also what the actual fuck?
Yes.
And
And then how can we as progressive women like help lead the movement back to our bodies because capitalism sets it up as antithetical to being a good feminist, a good modern woman.
Yes, and
But
that's
that's more of a way to trap you into a shit that doesn't work for you.
because we still have to compete in this male dominated world. And so, yes, my period's getting in the way. I don't have time. Like, these are all falsehoods that we are hoping to dispel, but these are actual people's actual realities to this. And I've had two women in the past 2 months that, I mean, one's very close to me, one I've known since I was 10, diagnosed with breast cancer. And the very first thing their doctor told them to do, stop taking your birth control. Both of them. And both of them came to me separately and said, holy shit, the first thing my doctor told me to do was go off of birth control. They were livid and angry because here we go with the informed consent. Like, yeah, I'm sure that was written on that little pamphlet that you unwrap and there's, point two font where it said, but if part of my cancer treatment protocol is to not be putting birth control in my body, what does that tell you? So,
It tells you that they know it's not as good for you as they're fucking pretending that it's good for you out in the real world. And so if people with ovaries would all say, I'm not going anywhere on the first 2 days of my period,
I'm
I'm not going to do that.
not doing that.
I'm not doing that. Figure out your policy or lose all your fucking workforce. I don't know. Figure it out. If women would be more of like really the 4B movement, hey, I'm not going to keep sleeping with people who won't get a vasectomy.
Yeah.
Not
And
gonna do it.
and collectively deciding this, like
Collectively.
this is how change happens is when we, you know,
Because we've been told a lie. We've been told that our lives are better if we fit into this box, that our life is better if we just do the same thing every day. And my life gets so much better every time I am more in alignment with my cycle.
oh my,
Every cycle that I get one rotation closer to really getting all the pieces in the right place, I feel so much better.
oh my God.
And it's like, fuck, I wish I could have, I should have started this learning, this cultivation, because it feels like a cultivation, this like spiritual cultivation, this process. Man, I wish I would have started that at 10.
Oh my gosh. And that's why I'm so excited for our daughters. And because this is just going to be normal to them. They're like, what? You didn't sync your cycle? Like, did people in the early 2000s not know about this, mom? Like,
I'd be like, weird.
like, why didn't you? It's going to be like what flu shots are. Like, wait, they didn't sync their cycles back then? What were they? How did you know when to? It's like, huh,
It's gonna be like people, they're like, ew, you smoked cigarettes? Like, you don't know how
yeah.
it's like, oh, you were on birth control? Like, I'm like, I know, I was. And we're not saying any of this to judge anybody because I was, I was thrilled. I was relieved. I was so excited to have sex when I finally got prescribed birth control because I was like, there's no other way to not get pregnant except for being on birth
I felt
control.
so in control of my life and my reproductive nature. Like
I
I
did. I
felt like I,
felt like a metropolitan woman, a
yes.
Cosmo girl. On my Yaz birth control. That stuff is so fucking bad. I was on Yaz for like 6 years, and that shit is real bad for you.
And
But it
so
had a really cute
it was
little teal
cutesy.
package.
It
So it
was
was
so
cute.
cutesy. And I remember when the Yaz commercial came out because I'm older than you. When that came out, my first thought was they're commercializing this. They're making birth control cute. There's something wrong with that. Like I didn't know what was wrong with it, but the fact that you're making this cute and you're making the case cute and it's like, the vape pens that look like bubble gum
For
and like
younger and younger and younger
yes, I was
kids.
like, they
Yeah.
are marketing medicine. And it was like, it felt nasty and creepy and ew. And I didn't know why at that age, but I just knew something
I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I was like, this is cool, and all the coolest girls are on Yaz.
are on it.
And and they're all listening to Kesha and like drinking they're taking their birth control with a shot of Fireball. Yes, thank you very much. Like, oh my God. I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I was like, oh my God, of course. I don't want to get pregnant. I don't want to. And my one sex ed class that I had, they literally told us that AIDS was so small, it would sneak through the microscopic holes in condoms. And if you had sex with someone who had AIDS, you were gonna 100% get AIDS. So why even use a condom? Doesn't even matter. And I was like, they're like, if you have premarital sex, you are, they made us do this map. I think I've told you about this, where it was like a fork in the road, and like at the intersection was premarital sex. And if you didn't have sex, you were gonna probably go to college and have a good job and get married. And on the other side was like, go to prison because like you can't get a job. Like,
Crackhead
and like
babies.
crackhead babies, and like all the pictures of the STIs they showed us were like the Guinness Book of World Record worst genital herpes, like the whole, it's just like a whole herpes now,
Yeah,
one whole herpes.
the herpes had herpes. Yeah.
And
And
and like so I was terrified, and I was like, of course, so I don't want that. So of course I'm gonna take birth control.
birth control.
Because I thought those were the two options. Crackhead baby or I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're saying all this to say we're not judging you because there are multi-billion dollar industries that are dedicated to the mindset that we all have and had. So we're not saying you idiot, you fell for this. Like they're way smarter, they have more research and more money to throw at this to warp your mindset about what should really be happening. So
Yeah.
no judgments here, none at all. But let's Google some shit. Let's wake up and let's stop it. Get off the train.
Yeah, so I'm just looking up what's how big is the market for birth control, just a second here. Because it's like a multi approximately the global contraceptive market in 2025 vary, but it's approximately a $30 billion industry.
$30 billion it's worth.
Growth projections. The market is expected to grow at a compounded annual growth rate ranging from 5.9 to 13.2% over the next several years, depending on the source. For instance, the project to market to reach 44 billion by 2030.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. So it's the chips are stacked against you for just knowing this information because it behooves them for you not not to be cyclical in your actions in the world. Like that is the only thing that keeps their bottom line as high as it is. So it's up to you to be your own
Yeah,
cycle.
the whole world, the whole like the total global capitalist imperialistic engine has a vested interest in you being on birth control and you ignoring your cyclical body. It is exactly what they want us to do for the entire planet. They want us to ignore that planets that you can only plant certain things at certain times, that there is a limit to production, that there's a limit to harvest, that there's a capacity for growth that does not go on exponentially for fucking ever, y'all. Like that's not what's going on here. There's a limit. And if we continue to ignore the way that our bodies work and we continue to use this shit, we will continue to see high rates of cancer, stress, endometriosis. I really believe all of those things are a byproduct of the lack of living in alignment with your menstrual cycle.
Mhm.
And so, kind of again, in Pride Month, this is a really important, like this is inclusion for everybody, but it's important to know what programming you have and then what to do with that programming. So can you just like do crash course really quick if this is their first episode, what do we mean by like the 24-hour programming versus the 28 35-day programming and how those vary?
Oh, I love it. So depending on what equipment you have, you're either on a 24 circadian rhythm or a 28-ish infradian rhythm. So if you've got what testes, you are rising and setting like the sun. Okay. If you've got a 24-hour clock and you're moving every 24 hours, you've got a spike in the morning, it levels off, it kind of goes back up and then it drops back down. And if your testosterone levels are healthy, this is what's happening literally every single day. If you've got the equipment and the programming that is more feminine, you've got the ovaries and the uterus, you are every 28 days. And your energy, mood, strength levels, dietary needs, movement needs are all fluctuating on a 28-ish day cycle. So you're more like the moon than you are like the sun. And knowing what equipment you have and applying that to these two different cycles is going to help you level up and live the best version of your life. Because if you're not using your equipment the way it is meant to be used, if you're not using the equipment, but maintaining it and following the call from that equipment, you're you're going to feel out of place. You're going to feel worn down and overwhelmed and sick and in pain and all of the
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, and another like a good analogy for this one too is like so like men are like the sun, so it's like summer every day, right? They wake up and it's summer and it's summer. And women, it's like winter, spring, summer, fall. We go through each of them in a month. And so it's like the guys just saying like, okay, just like grab your swimsuit. We're going to the beach. We're going to the beach. We're going to the beach. And like for you today, it's actually the middle of winter. And if you keep putting on your swimsuit and pretending to go to the beach when you have an internal winter raging inside of your body, you are not going to feel good if you keep ignoring the season that it is. Like I live in Iowa. If you just pretended like winter wasn't happening, you would die. If you were just like, no, I'm fine. I'm just gonna keep living outside like I do during the summer, and I'm not gonna wear a coat, and I'm just going to just continue as if it is summertime, and I'm just gonna plant a garden in my front yard right now, bro. Nothing would grow, no seeds would germinate, and you would literally freeze to death if you kept pretending like the season that was happening wasn't happening.
That's good. That's a good analogy. Yeah.
And yet, women are doing this to themselves every day. We're just like, it's summer, it's summer, it's summer, it's summer, and then this is why women like blow everything up in their lives in perimenopause. Because, bitch, it has not been summer for the last 20 years. It has been summer for a quarter of the time.
You only packed your bikini and you need your puffer coat, okay?
You need your puffer coat.
Get your puffer coat.
So we'll keep talking about this because we will fight the alt-right on this one to the day we die. There is a natural programming of things, but that doesn't make women inferior. That doesn't make you inferior if you have ovaries. It just means you need to know how your equipment works and then act accordingly. You need to plan, you need to pack the right stuff, and you need to understand how to work with those internal seasons. Just like men are naturally taught how to work with their internal season because the whole world is programmed around their body. So I think that's all I got to say about that today. Any final thoughts from you, Anna?
That's all I got. That's all I've got. Equality and equity are two very different things. And we, based on our equipment, were made to be super efficient at different things. Not better things, not lesser things, just different things. So this is not an indictment on your gender or your sex as assigned at birth. This is like biology.
This is just the roadmap. This is just a roadmap, like to how to work with yourself for maximum efficiency. So work smarter, not harder. Stay safe out there, you guys. And pack your bikini in summer and pack your freaking puffer coat when it's winter. And that's all.
Love it. Bye.
Bye.